Hi Astrals, let's look into the latest news of Newjeans. There have been some things going on concerning the Newjeans and Ador lawsuit. Let's look into the recent incidents. Emotional Oranges recently shared and then deleted photos with Danielle and her sister Olivia in the studio, sparking speculation about a possible collaboration with Danielle. After controversy arose, they reposted the photo on May 22nd, clarifying that there is no collaboration with Danielle and that they were only helping produce a song for Olivia. From what I can see, it was genuinely just a misunderstanding, and I can understand why people were confused. Honestly, I don't think either party is at fault here. That said, if the collaboration had been real and unapproved, it could have caused serious issues, possibly even a violation of Danielle's contract with Ador. That's why I think it was really important and responsible of Emotional Oranges to clarify the situation publicly. If they hadn't done that, it might have escalated into legal trouble. So overall, I'm just glad they addressed it quickly and clearly. That's my general take on it. After Newjeans appealed the court ruling that banned their independent activities in the dispute with Ador, both sides assembled top-tier legal teams, turning the case into what's being called the Battle of the Century. Newjeans added former Judicial Policy Research Institute head Park Yang-nam to their team, while Ador brought in high-profile names like former Constitutional Court Justice Kang Il-won and former Supreme Court Chief Justice Hong Seung-mayan. The case is now with the 25th Civil Division of the Seoul High Court. With major legal figures involved, many believe the outcome could reshape how contracts are viewed in the entertainment industry. Netizens reacted skeptically, calling it a money-driven legal war and questioning the priorities of both sides. Honestly, the only positive thing I see in all this is that the legal community is clearly profiting from this entire lawsuit. Just look at the high-profile names being brought in, it's wild. And as for the people calling this the battle of the century, let's be real, this has to be one of the most embarrassing legal battles out there, especially considering it all started from something as small as Hanni's ignoring situation. That said, I guess it's good for both sides to have strong legal teams if that's the route they're going. But what really confuses me is the double standard I keep seeing. Bunnies are out here praising the girls for bringing in new lawyers, but then bashing Ador for doing the exact same thing. That part just doesn't make sense to me. On May 30th, the Seoul Central District Court ruled that Newjeans cannot engage in any entertainment activities independently or through third parties without Ador's prior approval until a verdict is reached regarding the validity of their contract. If all 5 members violate this decision, they must each pay 1 billion KRW, approximately $729,000 USD in damages per violation. Newjeans will also be responsible for covering the legal costs of this application. This decision stems from a petition filed by Ador on April 4th as a follow-up to the March 21st injunction prohibiting Newjeans' independent activities. In response, Newjeans' legal representative stated that the indirect enforcement ruling is temporary and will automatically be nullified if Newjeans wins their appeal. They clarified that such decisions often accompany injunctions and do not imply a final ruling. Online reactions varied. Some netizens praised the enforcement as necessary to uphold contracts, while others mocked Newjeans' confidence, calling their approach delusional and overly optimistic. Many highlighted how the high damages and legal tensions reflect the seriousness of the ongoing dispute. Are we really surprised there's a penalty for going against Ador's terms? Not really. What is surprising is the amount. It's literally 1 billion KRW per violation. That's a massive number. Honestly, it makes me wonder how long the Newjeans girls can keep this up financially. They've already spent a chunk on legal fees, and now there's a huge fine looming over them if they lose this case. At this rate, it kind of feels like they're going to go broke trying to fight this. So, all the best to them, because 1 billion KRW is no joke. Do I hope they win? Not necessarily. Like some netizens said, this lawsuit could serve as a precedent to prevent another NJZ-like situation from happening in the future. I just really hope the girls fully understand the weight of the decisions they're making. It doesn't always come off that way. Also, the legal representatives responding to the ruling was kind of funny. Like, who exactly sent that message? Was it from the lawyers? The girls? Minheejin? Because it doesn't seem like something from the lawyers. It genuinely sounds delusional. I'm not a law student, but based on what I've heard from others, what they said was technically true. So hey, there's still some hope left if that means anything right now. HYBE founder Bang Si-hyuk is under investigation by the Financial Supervisory Service (FSS) for allegedly misleading investors into selling their shares to a private equity fund linked to one of his close associates. A search and seizure was also conducted at HYBE's headquarters, tied to a former employee identified as A. Amid this, Attention has resurfaced around Newjeans' Hanni's past comments criticizing Ador during their contract termination, where she accused the company of lacking sincerity in music and being solely driven by profit. Although her remarks initially faced backlash, the ongoing investigation has brought new context to her statements. Let's clear one thing up, yes. On the surface, what Hanni said about Hybe and the company's lack of sincerity in music does seem to align with the current situation involving the investigation into Banksy Hayek. But let's be real. Bunny's using this to say, see, my idol was right all along. Where's the logic in that? What makes you think Hanni actually knew any of this was going to happen? Where's the proof that she had insight into the investigation? Because if you remember, back during the press conference, there was no solid evidence presented. Hanni claimed there was proof in her National Assembly statement, but even then, no hard evidence was shown. It was all just vague statements, emotional, yes, but without any concrete backing. And now that there is actual proof through this investigation, it didn't come from Newjeans or their side. So let's not act like her comments were prophetic. They were still just baseless words at the time, which made them sound harsh, misplaced, and even ungrateful. Also, just because this incident with Banksy Hayek is happening doesn't automatically make every claim Newjeans made true. That's like saying if someone is right about person A, they must be right about person B. To the logic just doesn't work. So no, this situation doesn't validate every claim that was made during that press conference. Some bunnies are desperately trying to grasp at any scandal to prove their point. Yes, Hybe is being investigated, but that doesn't suddenly prove Newjeans is being mistreated behind the scenes. And to Hanni, respectfully, what did you think Minheejin was after? You criticized Hybe for being profit-driven, but let's not act like Minheejin isn't also chasing money and power. She's fighting to take full control over Ador. That's not just about music, it's business. Just like everything else in this industry, everyone in entertainment, whether they start out passionate about music or not, ultimately work for income. That's how the world works. So Hanni's argument about sincerity in music came off as naive and disconnected from how this industry, and honestly, any industry, really functions. Wanting to make music and wanting to earn from it aren't mutually exclusive. In the end, just because something Hanni said sounds right for now doesn't mean everything Newjeans said is suddenly validated. It's clear to me that this lawsuit isn't going to end anytime soon, but I seriously hope we get some form of closure on June 5th. There are finally some developments, like the fines and the new lawyers joining the case, but the pace still feels incredibly slow. Honestly, I just want this whole thing to be over already. To the judge, please, wrap this up quickly. I'm tired of this dragging on. That's all for today. I'm going to wait for June 5th before commenting further on Newjeans. Check out my previous videos on this situation in my channel. What do you think? Share your opinions. Be respectful and civil. See you next time.